Mercedes-Benz India has a clear go-to-market strategy, focus on the top end, or what it calls a value over volumes approach. And so naturally, sales in the top end have been growing while its entry segment has been shrinking. But that doesn't mean that India's largest luxury car maker is abandoning the entry segment. In fact, quite the opposite, which is why it's just launched the CLA EV in India at a starting price of 55 lakh. Talking to us today about the CLA EV and Mercedes-Benz India's broader EV strategy and also the strategy of the company as a whole is Santosh Iyer, who's the MD and CEO of the brand. Hi,
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For
Really
being
appreciate it.
here.
Yeah.
So CLA EV, what are the expectations from this? You have plugged a gap that you had in your portfolio with the entry-level segment. So what are the expectations?
So firstly, CLA is a next generation car in terms of technology itself. It's the first car from our stable globally and now in India, which is basically a software defined car. It also has a lot of hardware from NVIDIA. It has also our own operating system. We debuts in this car, which is a Mercedes-Benz MB plus a integrated with our MB drive, our charging ecosystem. So in a lot of ways, this is the next generation of EVs, what the customer can experience, and we are the first to bring this product as well to India. Coming to the comment on the entry and abandoning, I think we have been in India for 30 years. We have had cars like the A-Class, the GLA. Even today, we sell the GLA. Of course, it's only 10% of our volume. But what we don't do is we don't want to strip down a car, or we want to participate in an intensive price war to capture market share and try to get those numbers going in, because what happens there is the customer is a loser. The residual value of the customer goes away because when he goes to sell a car, then it's at a discounted price, and I think it's also not fair for the customers who place the trust in the brand. So we are very clear that in the long run, I think the brand is very critical. We would like to take care, and therefore we will give products in the entry segment a lot of value. Let's talk about the CLA. 792 kilometers of range. It has the best equipment and AMG line. Now let's say that I start removing all of this. I can still achieve a price point of 50. But then the customer feels that he's buying the badge and not the Mercedes-Benz DNA. And I think we are in the luxury business. There should be a pride of ownership, and this car is for those customers who are ready to pay that bit extra, but then enjoy the real luxury and the technology. Because I keep saying this is a tech warrior, not a price warrior.
So you mentioned that you can price it below 50, but you won't because you want to give the customer
More content.
But it will drive volumes for you significantly if you did that.
So when I talk about volumes, 20 days back we announced the car to be now ready for introduction, and we started taking bookings. We got already 400 bookings for the car. So there is for sure a set of customers, and let me give you some statistics. 60% of the customers who have booked the car now are first time buyers of luxury car. The 40% are still owners of luxury cars, and this is the second car in the household. So that's in the 60%, around 25% are salaried professionals, and below 35, double income families. So they want to reward themselves, they want to drive a good car for themselves and their family, and they are going. So these are showing a different trend in terms of consumption pattern. But again, volume should be, if you go the other way around, that means you say that I should get the volume. Then you start, as I said, easy way is, there is a huge, the three-pointed star is quite alluring. So there is a lot of people in India would love to own it. But then you start compromising on the product substance, which is not what we would do ever. So that's just the difference in the way we look at entry segment. But for us, entry customers are super important. They are the future transition to our top end customers as well. And as I said, many of our current customers want an entry car from us for their sons, daughters, or for their secondary usage as well. So it's important, and we will remain in the segment. Let me talk about even GLA. That car, we have a 4MATIC in a entry level SUV segment. Now we could have again done a simple car and competed on price. So I think it's different strategies. I never say that one is right or wrong. We need to play on our strategy. I am a guy who I just use the rear view mirror as a reference. But if I start driving the car looking at the rear view mirror, then the possibility of accidents are much higher. So in that sense, we stick to our strategy, and I think the customers love the brand, and therefore we would like to ensure that we live up to that promise.
So is that going to be the consumer for the CLA? Younger people?
Surely this car, because this is more AI enabled, I would say. And today, if you see the amount of time we are using different AI apps in a day, Even 6 months back, we never used to do that. And I think that's something that the car, because of hardware inbuilt and also our own operating system, will only evolve over a period of time. So I keep saying to my colleagues, you buy a CLA today, it will be a better car in 6 months to 1 year, because it is going to learn from you. It is also going to learn. Plus the new software, continuous over-the-air updates will also give more features and equipment than you have bought the car at the time of buying the car. So that's what these software-defined cars offer. And here the affinity for such cars are more younger audience. But India is also very absorbing on digital and tech. You can see even a bit more middle-aged people also really open to tech, and they like it as well. So, but yeah, the primary TG from the way the styling is, the way the car is, and also is more for the younger target group.
But Santosh, is this a change in your strategy? Because so far you've only been a niche player in the top end segment of the EV, which is where you're also the market leader. Now you have this segment, and I believe you will have more coming in. This is just a stepping stone to other EV launches from you. So is that a change in strategy in the sense that you're going to play in all the segments now? Also, another important thing is that this is a CBU and you're offering it at a CKD price. So you're taking a hit somewhere, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what's the strategy behind it?
So firstly, as the EV evolution comes up, and if you see, it's a lot to do with what's happening on the world as well. So as a brand in Mercedes-Benz, we were the first to come up with a full-fledged EV. Even in India, we localized the EQS. That time the question was, why are you getting an EV itself? Now at least, as I say, the question is, which EV are you getting, how many portfolio, what's coming in. Globally, we have 40 plus new cars coming. What we have learned from the first wave is the customers don't need a unique body style for EV. They want a typical Mercedes-Benz. That's what the C-Class, and recently if you see, we did a world premiere of the GLC, the new C-Class. They have a very distinctive and an identity which is typical Mercedes-Benz. So that's something on the styling. Again, the expectation on tech and software-defined vehicles is also being done here. And I think as it's just natural that we will offer now, where have we pivoted now? Earlier we said we will transition to 100% EV. Frankly, we have diluted that. We have now said that we will allow the customers to decide the pace of transformation. But for us, we will give a car in all powertrains. A gasoline one, a diesel, as well as maybe, I would say, the electrified version of these cars. And I think that's a great change or pivoting to multi-train strategy. It's a lot of cost which gets added to our ecosystem. I keep saying you will never go to an EV player and ask them, are you going to make combustion engines? You will, however, come to a combustion engine player, and if you don't make an EV, you will challenge us. Why are you making an EV? So I think for us, it's a bit more challenging because we have to focus on all three. The market is dynamic, the government policy also keeps changing. So in a sense where at least India has been consistent with a stable 5% GST. But if you look at states in India, they are changing a lot on taxation. So in that sense, we need to be flexible. What we would do is the global portfolio will come to India. Most of the cars which are relevant for this market, we will have multi-powertrain strategy. And then we allow the customer and the market to decide what they want to select and do. So it's not a target-based approach. It's more of offering the right option and choice to the customer.
But you're kind of ruining people's expectations in the sense that people will now think that all CKDs, all CBUs that come under the EU FTA will come at the price that they're selling outside.
So on this car, I think, that was also your previous question on why we have priced this car. So, customer can't pay premium for our issues. And when I say our issues, there's a big global demand for the CLA. Right now, there's no capacity to make it a locally produced car. So we said we need to take care of, and the pricing should be coming from the customer view. So this car cost 55,000 euros today in Germany. And if you say in India, 55 lakhs. So no taxes, and we have been able to take this car at the same. For us, it's very clear that let consumers start enjoying a true Mercedes-Benz in the entry segment. And at some point of time, they will also further upgrade to different categories of cars and others. So yes, in absence of localization possibilities, we are trying to keep the price the same. But it won't extend to all car lines. Many of the car lines we sell in India, if you compare with the global price list, India is actually cheaper when you take out taxes as such. So that also explains the limited growth that we have seen in India in the luxury car market, not just for us but for everybody else as well. So it takes time, and I think products are core to our business. So we need to offer options and let the customer decide.
So this is done just to give Indian consumers a taste of what an entry-level EV could look like with that much tech. And
Yeah, as I said, we can't remain vacant in the segment. We already have a combustion engine GLA there, and I think there is also active customer interest on the new CLA when we introduce across the world. So for us, we have to price it right, and that's the reason we decided that we would absorb those taxation impact and then let's introduce a car in the market as such.
right, you talked about powertrain, Santosh. Cafe 3 is coming next year. Diesel for you has been rising, especially after GST. Does that make complying with Cafe 3 a problem?
Well, not at all. I think our powertrain strategy is great. We have a mixture of nice petrol, diesel, and EVs. So when you combine, because remember one thing that on the diesel side they are very low on CO2. It's high on PM.
Yeah.
Petrol is low on PM but high on CO2. EVs are zero tailpipe emission. So when you combine all of this, I think for us, CAFE is not the challenge. In fact, yes, if you see the draft notification which came out for heavier vehicles, it's a bit more stringent. But I think we can manage with our powertrain and our emission strategy, and we should be able to easily give. Again, going back, we were the first brand in India to get a BS6, 22 years prior to the implementation. First to get the ES20, this ethanol E20 compliant cars. So as long as we get the right timing, we will ensure that we are compliant, and we are even exceeding the compliance levels.
Right. So what are the expectations from the CLA EV? Is it going to drive volumes for you? Is it going to just be there so consumers can come and experience the Mercedes brand?
So firstly, we have to remember that CLA is replacing the earlier EQA and EQB, which was there, the earlier generation cars. So definitely, first step is to ensure that it does the same volumes that it used to do, plus again further grow. If I look at the initial response, 400 plus bookings in say 20 odd days, I think that clearly shows a very active interest. Can we get allocation? Because there are two reasons. One, in Europe, the cars are sold out. You can check all the blogs. It's a real good car in Europe right now and a lot of demand. And the second is, we have done such an aggressive pricing, will we get allocation as well? So we have to balance both the worlds and then try to see the best fit. But let's see, in the next couple of days how we are able to do. Right now the car is sold out till July.
Oh wow, that's where your negotiation skills with the HQ come in.
We tried.
Right. So your EV penetration is around 8%. Does that change with the CLA EV now?
It should ideally, not just with the CLA EV, but also in the top end, we have the EQS, which is still doing very well, and also the G Electric and others. But we won't stop here, Imani. We will come up with more EVs as well, different parts. So I think this is a transition. As I said, we were the first brand to stick our neck out a couple of years back globally, saying we go all in. Then everybody said, why are you doing it? Now we take a bit more pragmatic approach to say, let the customer decide. We will give the options, because for us, we make the same amount of customer satisfaction from any of the powertrain. So why we should push one specific powertrain and try to achieve any target there?
Right. And you mentioned that EVs are being used as the primary car also, especially the CLA EV.
Yeah, that's why this entire 400 bookings, quickly the team did a back of the stuff research, because we were also amazed with the kind of response we got, and this is what we could find, that as I said, 60% are first time, but in the 60% there is a large amount of 30% which are salaried and double income families. So I think that's may also be one of the growth pivot for the entry segment in India.
Right. And Santosh, at the starting of the year, you expected for the entire luxury market to stay flat, like it has the last year.
Moderate single digit growth kind, flattish to single digit. Yeah.
But the world has changed since then. There's still so much uncertainty. A war has still not ended in West Asia, and though that doesn't directly impact your shipments, it impacts the sentiment of the consumer, especially of the high net worth individuals and UHNIs, which are your core consumer. Has your expectation changed for
I
that?
think, I cannot say that we were factoring these things. The world will never be stable. I think all of us in business should be clear. If I look at COVID, then semiconductors, you had tariffs, you had shortages, supplies, then multiple wars and conflicts and zones. So maybe this ends, something new comes up which we can't see today. So our prognosis is based on this macroeconomic environment, but the sheer belief that India growth story will be the consistent path in this. Last year, there was income tax rebates. There was also, you can see that, the GST cuts, and also, so the government is also ensuring the growth momentum continues. So that should ideally give a double-digit growth. But the headwinds is what should bring the growth down to moderate, flattish, single digit in these times. But I think this is going to be the new normal, and the pricing will have surely an impact. Right now, the exchange rate going to 110. We have done 2 price increases this year. Surely may have an impact. But when I look at customer sentiment, it was only 1 week in end of March where customers said postpone the booking. They never cancelled it.
Right.
And now in April, they have bought the cars as well. If you see 20 days back, the conflict is on wherever in some part of the world, but 400 people said, I want the new CLA, and they are ready to wait till July. So I think that's what India is about, and it's very difficult to decipher. But capital markets is a very good mirror. That again went to the value of tears, and hopefully it's coming back. So yeah, let's see. We can't be absolutely 100% accurate on the prognosis, but with all the facts, a single digit growth should be possible for the market and for us as well.
Okay. So Santosh, how do you, as a CEO, plan when there's so much uncertainty going around in the world? And like you mentioned, there's forex challenge, there's supply chain challenges, there's sentiment challenge. How do you plan?
So we have to realize that you cannot mix strategy with crisis topics. There is a vision that we have, say 2028, 2030. There are growth plans, product strategy, what you want to do with the organization. That should be continuing on a path where it is supposed to. For crisis management, you have a separate team to take care of. Like supply chain, I have a team quickly trying to see how do we navigate. Energy issue, you need a team. Exchange rate going up, you need somebody to ensure more localization, better cost. Now we have ambitious cost targets within the company because we can't pass on everything to the customer and to the market. So this is something as part of the crisis management we need to manage. But if we mix these two worlds and we become either a pessimist or too optimist because the times will change, then we are missing the view on the long-term strategic picture. So I think for us, as I said, to assume that maybe some things change in the next week with certain talks, I think is also a fallacy. Something new may come up. So this we should handle more operationally, and the strategic big picture, we should continue to devote our time, attention, and not lose that, and maybe recalibrate here and there, but at least be on that path.
So how is Mercedes doing, or how did it do in the financial year that ended in March in terms of profitability? Because your revenue at the start of the year was at the highest.
So I think we are still consolidating the books and we are trying to merge, but I think, yeah, it's just not about the best ever revenue. It has yet to be audited. It comes in September. It's also in the public records. We have been a profitable company in the past. Also, if I look at that's not just the one book. You have to also look at our financial services arm. That's a 1.5 billion euro portfolio that we have built in India, also profitably and growing well. Very good in terms of risk ratings as well. So I think if you look at the total business, extremely doing well. But yeah, navigating through these difficult challenges. But in couple of months, we will release the balance sheets, and then it's also transparent on how well it is there, because it's also relative.
Right. And for the CLA EV, you have a battery health certificate this time?
Yeah, so again, on electrification, one side was the charging issue. Is that public charging network? So there we got the MB charge to democratize charging. You don't need to pay upfront. The AI helps the car to prepare for charging, plans your routes, a lot being done. But the biggest thing is when I sell an EV after 3-4 years, any EV, it loses a lot of value. And the reason is the guy who's purchasing the used EV, he thinks it's like a phone or a laptop. The battery has gone, life nahi hai. So why should I now spend so much of money on this car? So the battery health certificate is basically you connect our devices. It generates what is the state of charge. So, we showed yesterday an example, a 4-year-old EQS, 61,000 kilometers done, had a 92% state of charge after 4 years. And so the car battery is as good as new. And we give warranty of 8 years, etc. But there is now a certificate complimentary to all our customers, our existing customers. They walk in. So when they sell their EV, they can tell the prospective buyer, hey, this battery has not degraded, the life is there in the car. And then the visual inspection of the car, if the car is maintained well, the customer should get a better price. So I think that's what differentiates us. We are trying to solve the consumer issues and the journey to drive electrification and adoption of electrification, and not just focus on TCO. The TCO is simple, buying price, running cost. Here EV leads because of the 5% GST, road tax, but the residual value is a challenge. So some consumers see it, some don't. And so we are trying to solve these specs, and I think over a period of time, we all want zero tailpipe emission. Who doesn't want it? I think is living in any city in India today. But yeah, it's a journey and we need to be patient, and I think we are doing these steps to maybe benefit the market, and I'm sure others will follow soon.
Thank you for talking to us, Santosh. It was
Thanks a lot
pleasure
for
talking to
joining,
you.
Himani. Thank you.